Hello and welcome. This is Nicole Sylvester, host of O-Shift Show, and I am so grateful to have you here. In this show, I'm going to invite you to open up to limitless possibility and live your best life right now. Not later, but now. This podcast is unedited to give you the realest talk on radical transformation. It's time to reclaim your power, own your worth, and say hell yes to the goodness that awaits. Let's get started. Your radical transformation requires one key component, one ingredient that cannot be left out. In fact, transformation will not occur unless you are willing to say yes to this one thing. And that's honesty. Yes, honesty. Now, honesty, it seems pretty easy, right? Like, yeah, I'll just be honest with myself. Yeah, I'll just be honest with them. Why is it so challenging though? I connect with thousands of people every year who want radical transformation. They ask me about my results. They ask me about how to do this, how to change my relationship, how to change my eating, how to change my ability to make certain amounts of income. How can I leave this relationship? How can I have boundaries with my friendships? How can I witness my own worth? Well, nothing can change unless you're honest about why it needs to change. So honesty is going to be your anchor, your lighthouse. Allow it to guide you. You've got to be honest about the way you feel. You've got to be honest about the way you have felt. You've got to be honest about why you want to have a different experience. But I'm going to tell you a few things that get in the way of people being honest. And the result is they get in the way of their own magnificent results. So honesty, here's the deal. It can hurt. The truth can sting. Do you agree or not agree here? Think about the last time you had to take a deep breath and be really honest about something, but it was really uncomfortable at the same time. Perhaps it was with someone else. Perhaps it was with you. I remember when I wanted to have a radical shift in my financial situation. Because my financial situation, it was not pretty. I was a single mom and I loved to hang on to that title. While I hated the title, I also loved to hang on to it. It was like, yeah, of course, I'm broke, but duh, I'm supposed to be broke. I'm a single mom. Don't you see all the things that I've been through? Yeah, I'm on welfare, but I have a reason. I love that identity unconsciously because it gave me permission to be that way. I rationalized with it. When I decided that I was no longer willing to be that version of Nicole, that I was no longer willing to tell my daughter, I don't have it, I can't afford it. I was no longer willing to go to the grocery store and feel stressed, wondering if there was going to be enough money on my card to buy food, just to live, just to survive. I was no longer willing to say, I have to live in this one-bedroom apartment with my daughter and we're going to financially struggle. So in order to have this radical transformation, which I've had, because as you guys know now, or maybe you're just listening in, is that I went from living in that reality to making multiple six figures in my business within 2 years. Actually, it was a little less than 2 years. So how do we do that? Well, I had to get honest. So the way that I got honest with myself, it didn't take away the sting of it, but there was relief. There was such relief in just facing my crap and facing it and owning that it was my choice. It was my decisions. It was my beliefs, no one else's, that had led me to this experience. So one day, when I was so fed up and I decided that it was no longer going to be an option for me, I had to sit down and I had to face all of my debt. I had to look at my credit score. I had to look at my collections accounts, some of which were on there for 6 years. Some of the things I had to look at was my mailbox that had mail so thick, so full of mail that a lot of it was sent back to the post office. There was a little note in there that said, your mail can now be picked up at this address, because they could no longer deliver to me because I was in such avoidance energy. So you see, when we're not being honest, we avoid. We don't want to look at what hurts because we think if we look at it, it's going to take us down. You may not even be conscious that you're thinking this of some area of your life. You may say, yeah, I know this needs a change. I'm sick of this. But you're not fully being honest and taking responsibility. You see, when you're honest, you're forced to be responsible. You're forced to take responsibility for what's going on. Because if you're really honest, no matter what someone else has done to you, or no matter what someone else's choices have led you into, it's always our choice, our responsibility to continue to be there or to leave. Continue to choose this or that, or choose something else. We get to choose. And we'll talk more about the power of choice and our ability to choose in future episodes. But right now, I just want to talk about this honesty piece. So here I was clearing out my mailbox, and I sat down and opened up every single one of those letters that all of those collectors have been sending my way. And I remember in that moment, I recognized that if one of my most responsible friends, financially responsible friends, I thought of her, and I thought of if she would sit down here and this were her reality, she'd probably have a heart attack. Like, she would have a panic attack, minimum, right? Because my reality was such a crazy contrast for her. It would be painful. She wouldn't be able to live in that reality. She would never get to that point. But for me, it was a normalized suffering. You see, we normalize our suffering when it becomes something that we're so used to. So while being financially broke was so uncomfortable, it also became normal for me. When I wasn't being really honest about what was happening and how I was living, it was something that was uncomfortable, but I was comfortable in my discomfort. So I continued to navigate it. But there came a day where it was just no longer acceptable. My standards had raised, and I decided that I was ready to get radical. So opening up all of those things was really radical, and I sat down and I created a plan. I got my credit karma going. I started looking at my credit score. I started looking at my debt, and the more I looked at my debt, the less it seemed like a lot of money. Normalized suffering is like getting a splinter, but not being able to get it out. So you walk around for the first few days and it really hurts. It's really sore. But about day 5, day 6, you end up developing a slight limp, right? Like, it hurts, but you learn how to navigate the hurt. And you may even complain about it. You may be like, oh my God, my damn foot, this thing hurts, but what am I going to do about it? Let me just still continue to walk this way, right? Maybe you even get other friends who have hurt feet or something that's hurting, and you guys just all get together and complain about it. You drink beers, drink wine, right? Like, that's what we do with the areas of our life that suck. And the craziest part is it's usually things that we can change pretty quickly if we are willing, keyword willing, to get honest. But you see, getting honest takes courage, because not only is it going to sting to realize I am the reason why this is my reality right now, but getting honest also takes courage, because those people that you've been hanging out with, that you've been talking about, oh my God, I have that too. Oh my gosh, I'm so sick of it, but you know what? I'm not willing to do anything about it yet. Or maybe you guys are just always saying what you're going to do, but it's like years passing and it's not really happening. Well, you're no longer going to be relatable to them once you get honest. It's going to shake up their reality, because you know what? They didn't decide to get radically honest. You did. And once you see the truth and you get clear on what's really going on and how it's really impacting your life and how close you are to really transformation, you're going to want to change, and you're also going to get into that energy, that environment, that vibration, and you're going to say, oh, this isn't going to work for me anymore. But are you willing to do that? I have this saying that I share And it goes like this. You ask for transformation, but are you willing to weather the winds of change? And I ask that because everyone wants to have better relationships, more intimacy, more money, more peace, more joy, more laughter, more love. We all love those things, right? Are we in agreement? Like, do you feel that way? Or are you saying, I'm good, I don't need to expand and explore and enjoy anymore in life? We want those things. We desire them. It speaks to us. Yet when it comes time to do the actual work, we tend to, and I'm speaking we collectively, human race, we tend to want to stay in our patterns because people pleasing comes up, which we'll be talking about that a lot more in future episodes. We want to belong. And we also like to stay comfortable, even if that comfort is truly uncomfortable. But here's what I know. Here's what I've experienced in my own life. And I know that you're listening because you want to have some sort of different result. And deep down, or maybe just at the surface, you know that you are just a few decisions away from an entirely different life experience. And that's the power that we hold. So today, I just invite you to explore, those core areas of your life. Your well-being, your health, your relationships, your finances, your connection to self. And I want you to explore, how do you feel about each of those areas? Where are you normalizing your suffering? Where are you not being honest with yourself? The honesty is required because if you do not get honest, you're not going to feel enough to change. Not in a radical way, right? So for instance, you think of someone who's going through a health crisis. Man, if someone is going through a health crisis, and I know because I've had one, they are ready to do anything it takes usually, right? Because it's life or death. That's what it feels like. So what happens? All the food that used to taste yucky, didn't have all the salt, the sugar, the butter, the flavor, or maybe the flavors you're accustomed to. Those foods become your staples. You start really researching how your body takes in the nutrients from the food you eat. Maybe you'll start working out and finally investing in that gym membership or that yoga membership. Everything starts to change when you feel so much and you really get honest. So allow yourself to feel, even if it hurts, because that is going to be the impetus for your radical transformation, because radical results come from radical choices and radical action. Not a little here and there, sprinkle new actions in, not a little here and there, I'm going to be honest. It's radical. And this is precisely why some of my clients say, you piss me off, but I love you for it. Because there's no enabling going on. Sometimes we associate being gentle and loving oneself or others with enabling. And we got to get it really clear on what enabling is. We can love someone and be honest and call them to grow without being harsh. And we can do this to ourselves. And that's what I'm asking you to do. So I want to hear from you. Where are you normalizing your suffering? Where are you wasting time, wasting days of your life, wasting energy, wasting your money? Where have you been pretending that something doesn't hurt you or it's not impacting or affecting you, but truly it's killing you? And it may be killing you slowly or quickly, emotionally or physically. But honesty is the ointment that can heal all of this. So I invite you to let me know. What are you changing? What has transformed? And if you really want to go deeper, then make sure you reach out to me about one of my programs or offerings, because I live for this. And the reason I'm so passionate about this is because I know what I've done in my life, and I'm not special. I'm just a woman with fears and dreams who had to dig deep and find that courage. But what I found on the other side of that courage and those tears and all of that stuff that I had to feel was, wow, life gets this good? And I'm just getting started. But I want to invite you to come with me because your life is meant to be lived at its highest expression. And I know what's waiting for you. And you know too. And that's why you're listening. That's why you're seeking. And I honor you for that. So keep going. Stay in your willingness. So much beauty is on the other side waiting for you. And that is how we shift, my friends. Before you go, I want to remind you to take time and celebrate your progress today. No matter where you are on your path, you're showing up for yourself. I know it because you're listening to this podcast. I'm so glad we got to spend this time together today. And you know I love to hear your shifts from the show. Don't forget, your review means the world to me on iTunes. Please leave a review, subscribe, and share with your favorite people. If you're ready for more, head over to my website and download my free 5-day Access Your Abundance meditation series. This series has been changing lives all year. Now it's your turn. Until next time, live your best life.